Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another Planet Tyro book discussion. If you missed the last book discussion, I spoke about The Realm of the Elderlings by Robin Hobb. I really did love that book series. The review was kind of scatterbrained. I tried to be vague. Click the YouTube card in the top right-hand corner to go back to that discussion. I highly recommend checking that book series out because I really, really, really enjoyed it. But let's move on. So, as you can see in the title, we're talking about Drew Hayes' superhero genre book series called SuperPowerED's, and also a separate series called Villain's Code. Now, let me tell you something. Superhero fatigue is real. I've spoken about my love for DC, Justice League. The animated stuff, the live action stuff is trash. DC have failed miserably. You know, I'm a big fan of the Marvel stuff like everybody else, but after Endgame, it's all gone to shit as well. And, you know, apart from a few things like The Boys and Invincible, I think everyone's kind of fed up with superhero stuff. And to be perfectly honest with you, I've seen so much of it. Even in anime, the same kind of themes I've seen again and again and again. So when I came across this book series, I honestly had no expectation. I never heard anything from anyone. I came upon this series because I have a subscription to graphic audio, and this just came up and I thought, I can't think of anything else to listen to, so let me check it out. And let me just tell you, after listening to this, it really renews my idea in the fact that even in tired, overtold genres, someone with a unique voice or who's clever can come at it at an interesting angle, aka Invincible, aka The Boys. Now, let's start with SuperPowerED's. This series is complete. It's finished. It's basically, and I'm gonna, well, this isn't gonna sell it very well, but I'm gonna give a vague description. SuperPowerED's is basically about a group of young adults who are attending a superhero university to hone their powers and get better at their powers. And there's also a conspiracy going on with previous heroes. Now, each book is called Year 1, Year 2, Year 3, and Year 4. And there's a side story about one of the parents of the superheroes called Corpies. Now, the first 4 books, it starts off the first book pretty meh, but the second, third, and fourth book, it really just gets better and better and better. And I want to talk about what I like about the story. What I like about the story is Drew Hayes has a knack for writing good characters, number one. Number two, the idea of the superheroes, the power sets, it seemed basic and derivative at first. You know, someone's got super strength and all that. But he digs deeper. And the first book, again, was kind of meh. But the second and third book, I was drawn in by the development of the powers of the characters, the interactions they have, the structure of the school, and ultimately the world building is very well thought out. Then one of the things I found pretty cool is the grit. The battles between the students is pretty cool. There's a lot of grit in here. There's a lot of wit. The writing is tight. And it's very rare to actually find, in my opinion, young adult characters that are mature, got charisma. Everything about this just won me over more and more and more and more and more. I like the plot. I like the conspiracy. And I'm kind of rushing through here just to say, this is one of those times where you see something, it looks basic, and it ends up being better than it really... No, I don't even want to say being better than it should be. Drew Hayes is a very good writer. And let me tell you something. Again, this series ends. It's 4 books. It's very meaty. Graphic audio, at the time of this recording, graphic audio have only done the first 3 books. The 4th one, I had to listen to just a normal audiobook. Now, I don't want to confuse anyone. If you do not know what graphic audio is not your average audio book narration. It is a whole cast. Every single character is cast by a different voice actor. They put a lot of sound design into it. So if you can go on Audible and just get the single narrator doing all these books, that's fine. But I really did enjoy Graphic Audio's full cast of this, which, to be honest with you, made me want to listen to the whole thing. If I actually came into the series just listening to one narrator narrating the first book is pretty generic, pretty similar. But by the end of the first book, I was engaged. And by the second and third book, I was very invested. And I'm very impressed. I'm trying not to get into spoilers. I can dig deeper and tell you guys. I really tried to sell it to you. But at this point, if you're subscribed to the channel and you judge my taste and you've seen my review before, then I would say this is a pleasant surprise. But not as surprising as the second series, Villain's Code. Now, Drew Hayes, and I've watched some interviews with Drew Hayes talk about this. Villain's Code is a book series about the villains, but it's not set in the same world as SuperPowered. It's more bombastic. The powers are much more engrossing, much more cosmic, they're just more out there, but the attention to detail is deeper. The thought process is deeper. In some ways, it's got more minutiae. And the first book is quite slow. The first book is called Forge and Hephaestus, and it's kind of a bit of a slow grind into this world, but I really enjoyed it, and I knew to give this author a chance after the first book of SuperPowerED's and how I was rewarded for listening to all of that. Villain's Code, which at the time of me recording this discussion, only has 2.5 books. There's 2 novels out, and they're 2.5 villains vignettes, which is like a short story novella kind of thing. It's half or a third the size of the other books, but it's filling the gap between the third book. Now, at this time, Drew Hayes has written the third book. He hasn't published it yet because he needs to edit it. Villain's Code is deeper, is so much more thought-provoking. Well, not even thought-provoking. I feel like Drew Hayes has really meshed the true genius of the superhero genre by using villains. Everyone knows villains are much more interesting than heroes anyway. And when your villains are kind of anti-heroes, it's that the superior. So Villain's Code is great. I actually like both of these series almost the same. But I will say, I think Villain's Code is going to go the distance. SuperPowerED's has ended. And it was a good story and a good foundation, and it's given me a lot of faith in this author. I'm going to give SuperPowerED's, the full series, which is years 1 to 4 and Corpies, I'm going to give that a low first class. Again, slow start, but by the end, I really liked it, wrapped up, and I was wanting. When I finished SuperPowerED's, I thought to myself, this could have gone further. There were so much things he touched upon that I felt like, why did he give up on this world? I really enjoyed this world. But this is where he's gone with Villain's Code. It's a new universe, it's a different setting, similar, but darker, deeper, more thought out, more creative powers. And again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you this has renewed my gusto for the superhero genre. I'm just telling you that it's smart, it's witty, it's well written, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was so impressed. And, there was an interview, and I don't recommend watching this interview until after you've read these books. But there was an interview with him. I think the YouTube channel that interviewed him was called Nerdonic or whatever. And, just hearing him talk, he's a massive fan of superhero genre. He knows what he's talking about. It comes through the writing. But a lot of, the best writing is sometimes where you just feel like, damn, that makes a lot of sense. Damn, this shit's tight. And I really enjoy the characters. But, putting all that superficial stuff aside, I've really enjoyed the writing of the characters. The characterization is really good. Again, this isn't the most deep stuff, but it is very entertaining. And I think, again, just like The Boys and Invincible, it's going deeper. It's going darker and deeper and more interesting. And I think that's what we want to see from the superhero genre. That's what we've enjoyed from Marvel and particularly DC. I'll always have DC for the animated stuff. And it's great to see Drew Hayes take from that and go further. And I always think there's room for improvement, for not just innovation, but even if you're going to be derivative, you can do it in a way that is engaging. And that's what Drew Hayes has done. I'm going to give Villains Code book 1 and 2 a low first class as well. You know, it's a bit slower than SuperPowerED's, but in a way, it's more thoughtful. I feel like it's a slow cooked meal. And I really enjoy the power sets there. In some ways, it's more exciting. It's more mature, but even SuperPowerED's is mature as well. This is the kind of thing I love to see in the superhero genre. And this is kind of the only thing I want to see. Mature, thoughtful, but still giving you that popcorn, bombastic action that you like. And yeah, I highly recommend Drew Hayes as a writer. On the side note, apart from these two series, he wrote another book called Secondhand Curses, which is an Audible original. Now, this has got nothing to do with superheroes. This is more like a take on fables and old stories, like Disney stories. I love this. As a standalone book, if you want a taste of Drew Hayes' writing style, check out Secondhand Curses as well. It's got nothing to do with the superhero genre, but I read it in between SuperPowerED's and Villains Code, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And Drew Hayes is a writer that I'm watching now. I like it. I enjoy it. I recommend it to my sister, my friends. They enjoyed it, and I want to give him my seal of approval. Now, these books have been out for years, except for Villains Code, which is what's currently going. So a lot of you guys might have already heard of it, but it's getting my seal of approval. Highly recommend it, and that's it. Boy, that was a run. But guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I am not doing as much on the channel right now, which I do apologize for. I'm coming back with some Lupin the Third stuff and one or two other things. But thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. And I'll see you on the next recording. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all the other YouTube stuff. But anyway, guys, take care of yourselves. Peace out.